Can hear you.
Great.
Yeah, I can hear you on my phone.
Okay, thank you. So we'll get started here because it's pretty close to 6 o'clock or 6. It is 6 o'clock. So welcome to our SCORE event tonight. I'm Ron Emery. I'm the chair of Youngstown SCORE. And we kind of put together a little slide deck here of things to look for when you want to start a business. I had a SCORE volunteer, Carl Stennett, do some of the research and put some of the graphics together, but we'll share that information with you and get started here. Okay, so there's 10 steps to start your business. So you've got to conduct some market research, write a business plan. SCORE can help you with that. But there's a lot to a business plan because you've got to think about, what your business is doing from a sales standpoint, an operational standpoint, finance standpoint. So a lot that goes into a business plan. A lot of small businesses that I've helped with their plans, they may have a 50-page business plan. And you're going to need that to go to the bank and get financing and make sure you can have a plan that's executable to bring to the bank. Fund your business. We've got a lot of special things going on with how you fund your business. We've got another session we'll be doing in 2 weeks that'll talk about how you get money to start your business. So it's nice you want to get into business for yourself. It's a little difficult to actually fund it and make sure you've got the right kind of funding to support your business growth. And going forward, how do you actually do that and make sure you've got enough money? Picking your business location, you got to think about, hey, where are you going to be? What are you going to do? Obviously, if you're going to open up a restaurant or bar, it's nice to be near other restaurants or bars. But if you're going to choose you can't locate your business if it's commercial in a residential area. So you got to think about that. And who are your customers? And where are you going to be able to get some ease to your customers, easy access? Choose a business structure. So you'll hear me talk a number of times about, hey, LLCs, S corps, C corps, and how do you structure the business? Is it partnership? Is it standalone, sole proprietor? So there's a lot of thought that needs to go into that as you structure this moving forward, because Uncle Sam does take taxes from you. And what is the best way to set these up? And a lot of times you might need an accountant to help you with this. So hang on a second here. Try to minimize this. Choose your business name. What's important for your business? Register your business. I hope you all know that you have to sometimes register with the state, certainly, because you're going to collect state taxes and federal registration from federal taxes when you pay your taxes on profits. Hopefully you have profits. But you've got to register your business. You've got to get federal and state tax IDs. So that's important right away because the tax man wants you to allocate the funds to the right business. So you need that tax ID. Apply for licenses and permits and open a business bank account, because how are you going to pay your bills moving forward if you don't have that? So I'm going to go through each one of these and Yeah, we'll finish up probably around quarter to 7. And it'll give you some time to ask questions about specific areas that you want to know more about. But, first thing is conduct market research. So I think it's always important to say, hey, what am I going to do from I've got this idea. How do I make it work for everybody? So you start thinking about, get the demographic information together to better understand opportunities and limitations for gaining your customers. So what's important is data on age, wealth, family interest, or anything else that's relative to your business. So think about this, you guys that are from Youngstown. Where are you going to locate your business? Where might be the best traffic? How do we get tuned to where your customers are going to be? So, it helps grow your market share. Then answer these questions to get a good sense of your market. First of all, is there demand and desire for your product or service? I don't think maybe an ice cream shop is such a good idea in Alaska, where it's maybe cold most of the year. But can you make a go of it, in that certain area? For the warm times of the year, the 3 or 4 months that are your service time. Market size, how many people would be interested in your offering? Because there's the demand piece, but there's also understanding how big the market is, because you can advertise, you can go out and do specific things to drive share in markets if you have them. I mentioned before, sometimes businesses locate next to other businesses that are similar. And I think competition is good for business. So in a lot of cases, that makes a lot of sense. Again, the people that you're going to afford your product. What's the income range? What's the employment rate? Because people that are working have money to spend. And so with money to spend, they can afford to buy your product and keep you busy. Location, where do your customers live and where can your business reach? Sometimes if you have an online business, location is not that important. But what is important instead of location? Logistics. How do you get the product to the customers when they need it most? And how do you keep them from buying it somewhere else? Market saturation. How many similar options are available to customers? There comes a point where, your customers are maybe, customers or opportunities are saturated and there's no more money to spend to customers. For example, when you talk about market saturation, if you're opening up a barber shop, how many barbers are in the area? Can probably support 2 or 3 barbers, but at what point have you covered the maximum number of people looking for a haircut? Pricing. What do potential customers pay for these alternatives? Can you be the higher priced spread in the marketplace and allow you to make additional profits? Asking customers yourself can give you a nuanced understanding of your target audience. But direct research, remember, can be time consuming and expensive. So how do I do that? So here's a few methods you can use to do direct research. You can do surveys. A problem with surveys is getting the response back that you need. Might not always have that. We can put questionnaires out to people. We can do a focus group. And a lot of times, there's a bank in Youngstown called 717 Credit Union. It was an offshoot of Packard Electric, I believe. And, I've been involved in a couple, got called into a couple focus groups where they ask specific questions like, what would it take for you to do business with this bank, and it was a credit union at that time, and I think it's a bank now. But they'll ask specific questions in order to go ahead and fix whatever's wrong, whatever issues you might have, and make this a broader appeal to a bigger set of consumers. So that's what a focus group is. They kind of lock you in a room, get some answers from you, and look at specific areas to focus on. In-depth interviews. Nothing wrong with interviewing your customers, trying to figure out where they are from money they'll spend and support they'll give you in order to become a consumer as well as a customer of yours. So use competitive analysis to find a market advantage. So I always look at things like, here's a great example. So Kurt, who's on the call today, he spent the summer with us at Eiten Industries up in Ashtabula and worked on, Ramp Armor, which is our skateboard surfacing product. One of the things he was able to do is figure out probably very quickly where our competitive advantage is in that particular product line, because that when you look at the competitor's product, our product can withstand the coldness of the winter, can withstand the rainy season, can take humidity much better than our competitors' products. So what is that when you identify that? That's a competitive advantage. So you know that you should go after those parts of the market that give you that competitive advantage. We can assess the following characteristics of the competitive landscape. We can assess market share. We can assess strengths and weaknesses, the window of opportunity to enter the market. Sometimes it's just a little too late. So here's a great example here again. We bought hand sanitizer at the peak of the market when the pandemic was going on, made some great deals to get the material, but the window of opportunity to sell it may have closed early for us, and we were not as responsive to the marketplace. So we've got inventory, and that's good if somebody needs a product. That's bad if the demand's not very high. So that was a ill-timed opportunity that we had to, we entered it at the wrong time, but it was a good time to enter the market at some point because some people made a lot of money selling that. Number 4, the importance of your target market to your competitors. Know where you stand with your competitors. What are you offering that they're not? And talk about any barriers that may hinder you as you enter the market. Every market has barriers, and you need to judge, hey, can I make enough money to get over those barriers, or is it going to kill me and I'm going to have a problem? Indirect or secondary competitors who may impact your success. So in a lot of cases, some of your competitors are not really known to you at the point you enter the market, but you'll soon find out once you get into the marketplace. So free stats are readily available. So where do I get this information from? So when I want to know what's a good general business statistic, I can go to US government statistics. I can go to statistical abstract in the United States. I can go to the Census Bureau. When I want to find consumer statistics, I can go to consumer credit data, consumer product safety. I can look that data up. And these are great websites, by the way, for you to get the kind of information as you start to formulate your plan around what you want to do. What kind of business do you want to develop? And get some idea on what kind of market is available for that particular business. Demographics, here's where you can tell from a Bureau of Labor Statistics of the Census Bureau. It's a segment of population for targeting customers. So again, if you're going to sell Ben and Jerry's ice cream, Ben and Jerry's is going to appeal to a certain demographic. It's going to be, relatively high end, but because of Ben and Jerry's political uh, theories and thoughts, it's going to be mostly a liberal crowd, liberal ice cream crowd, if you can believe it or not. That's who's going to buy Ben and Jerry's. If you're going to sell another particular product and ice cream cones cost when bought one the other day and it was like $5, and I said, wow, when did ice cream go up so much? I'm used to spending $2 or $2.50 for an ice cream cone, and it was $5. But it's really a retailer of ice cream that is specializing in what they do, and their product is a little different. It was Handel's ice cream in Youngstown, so people are probably willing to spend a little more for that because they consider it a higher quality product. Want to find out about economic indicators? So know the unemployment rates, loans granted, and more. Look at the Consumer Price Index of the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Employment stats. Why is that important? Well, because if people are working, they have disposable income that they may not have otherwise. Income stats. Why is that important? Again, how much disposable income do people have to spend in your shop or your ice cream parlor or your barber shop and whatever type of business you're setting up for yourself? Money and interest rates. Know that, it's important to go ahead and make sure that you may need financing. Your business may grow so quickly and so well that you're going to go out and have to expand it. And so you need to look at things like, here's a great example. We were on a call yesterday, a SCORE call, and SCORE, as you guys know, is the Corps of Retired Executives. And so we were talking about, we had somebody come in from the SBA to talk to our team about what we could offer clients. And so from the SBA, we can find out that there are special loan programs and incentives in loan programs to actually take advantage of before the end of the year. And they're not maxed out. They're not even anywhere near maxed out. There's potential to look at that if you need a longer term loan, and there's no payment for 2 years. So there's a lot of cool incentives right now. This is a great time to start a business because there's a lot of interesting incentives that will help you do this, help you get this thing off the ground and started, and provide for nice long-term income. Production and sales stats. What do I want to know? What do I need to know about that? Well, it tells me what consumer spending is. Gross domestic product is an overall general kind of indicator of the economic growth of the nation, but it'll also tell me, hey, how are things trending? And are we in for a downturn? Or are we, if you're going to expand your business, you're going to want to know that you're expanding at the right time, not the wrong time. Trade stats, they track indicators of sales and market performance and statistics of specific industries. So you can get all this stuff is readily available at your fingertips. And one of the cool things about it is I never realized this. And Georgianne, you're probably going to kill me for not understanding this because Georgianne's the next library employee. But the public library is a great avenue of wealth as you're starting to figure out your business plan. There are some really interesting folks that work for the library and are dedicated to help you get information. So if you need to know something, go to your public library. I mean, in Mahoning County, you may have to go to the main library to get that kind of support, but it's out there and it's available for you. And what a great resource the library is to help you get that information. So write your business plan. So what's a traditional business plan consist of? So the type of plan is very detailed, takes more time to write, and is comprehensive. Lenders and investors commonly request this plan. So I guarantee you, when you go ask the bank for $100,000 for your business, they're going to ask for a business plan. Now, we don't typically at SCORE write these for you, but we'll help you make sure that we have all the plans in place in order to execute this for you. So it's going to start off with an executive summary. If somebody's not going to want to look at every detail that you put in your plan, although it's important for you to have it, it may not be important for your lender to have all the nuts and bolts. So what your company is, why will it be successful, is included in the executive summary. The company description tells detailed information about your company. Think about what you're going to do that's different. How are you going to be different than your competitors? Number one, problems that your business solves. How are you different? What's a differentiator between you and your competition? Because that's what it's all about. You look at, I know Patrick Moran was on this call. Some of you may have heard our conversation earlier in it, but he runs a business called Window World. What's a differentiator about Window World? Well, it's a great product. It's they can get it to you on time. They can offer some really great financing rates and help for you to make it easier for you to buy. They do a great installation of the product and have a great warranty. So this makes you happy to buy from Window World because they offer you everything you need. What's the problem the business solves? It gives you ease of mind, and it gives you some satisfaction that you bought the best product available in the marketplace. And you know, and you can sleep at night knowing that it's covered by a warranty by a solid organization. Number two, consumers, organization, or businesses your company plans to serve. So what markets are you going after? There's obviously a consumer market, and that's good if you're running an ice cream shop or you're running a barber shop or a beauty shop. So there's a consumer market, but some of us are going to focus on the industrial market. So like I mentioned, the Ramp Armor's skateboard product. Some of us are going to focus on, there's a couple of different markets there. There's the people that build huge skate parks. That's one market. And there's a consumer market. In the consumer market are dads who go out and know their kids. It's mostly sons, but some daughters. Mostly, but it's their kids that go ask for, hey, Dad, can you build me a skate park in the backyard? And that's a consumer market. That's a different buyer than somebody who's buying it to build a massive skate park. And it's all rolled into a certain price. Dad's building it, so what's important when Dad's building it? Well, can you give him the plans to build it? And can you make sure he succeeds at everything he needs to do in order to make it successful? And then think about, what are your competitive advantages? So the traditional business plan also has a market analysis. What's the industry outlook and what's the target market? For those of you who don't network very well, then do yourself a favor after this meeting and start networking better. Because I think that, there are ways to get market analysis pretty easily and understand, what do successful competitors do? How does it work? Can you make it do better? You can get that information from SCORE. You can get that information on the internet a lot. You can get that information from your Chamber of Commerce. You have a good sense of what kind of market you're getting into and what you're going to need. Organization and management. How will your company be structured and who will run it? So it's very important going forward, is that you have the right kind of management structure in place and can support it. Service or product line. Describe what you sell or what service you offer. How does it benefit your customer? I hope everyone knows what product life cycle is, because no product lasts forever. Even ramp armor skateboard servicing doesn't last forever. Some of the installations have lasted 30 years, but at some point you're going to want to change it. Either you're going to want to make it different. We're developing new products all the time, and we've got this really cool product called Gription, which allows the skate to grip a little better than it does on a smooth surface. You may want to change up your park or change up your home home skate park by using some different product and trying it out. And you're going to want to be different. Marketing and sales. Describe how you attract and retain customers. How will a sale actually happen? Your complete marketing and sales strategy. So depending on your product, you could have, here's another example. So somebody runs a little business that focuses on doing tax returns for consumers. Everybody's been past it. There's a company called Liberty Tax Strategies or Tax Returns. And they hire some kid out there to stand in a Statue of Liberty costume. Now, I hate to be that guy because he's probably gotten things thrown at him and probably had a rough time with it, with people blowing their horns continuously. But it's, number one, it's a job. Number two, it does give the company some credibility by you're going to notice it and you're going to see it and you're going to make sure that you do remember it. So when you're writing your own business plan, think about funding. Are you going to pull some money out of the bank? Are you going to borrow some money from mom and dad? Are you going to ask that rich uncle to give you $30,000 to get it started? Are you going to finance it? So remember, think about the money you're going to need over the next 5 years and what you'll use it for. And think about debt or equity. Are you going to create, you can put cash in the business, or are you going to finance it? Financing is debt. Cash you're putting in the business gives you equity in the business. And it's always good to, use equity funding in this as much as you possibly can, because you may want to borrow on it later. And if you have equity in the business, it's much easier to borrow. Specify the funds you need to buy equipment or materials, pay salaries, cover specific bills until revenue increases. Remember, in your business plan, you're going to talk about financially what your sales are going to be by month and maybe by week. And you're going to hold yourself accountable for hitting those sales, or you got to put a marketing plan together in order to execute it. Always include a description of your future strategic financial plans, like paying off debt or eventually selling your business. Because most of you go into business to provide an income. And at some point, you're going to look at, hey, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go do something else. And you're going to want to know, hey, how do I sell my business? And what's the easiest way to do it? Financial projections. So convince, the reader of that business plan that your business is stable and will be a financial success. It should be very upbeat. The financial outlook for the next 5 years includes forecasted income statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, and capital expenditure. How are you going to invest in your business in order to bring it to the next level? And then you need to have a place at the end, which you call an appendix. And that appendix is there to collect any supporting documents. So credit histories, resumes of the people you're going to hire, and yourself, because whoever reads your business plan is going to know what qualifies you to start your own business, pictures of your products, letters of reference, licenses, permits, or in some cases, patents. If you own patent on a certain design, you're going to want to include that in your supporting documents in your appendix. Legal documents, permits, and other contracts. So now let's talk about, we got a plan, we know what we're going to do, and now we just need money. And so you got to determine how much money you're going to need. So you're going to fund your business yourself with self-funding. You can do that. But think about over the next 3 or 4 months, you're going to go through some rough patches as you kick this thing off the ground. 97% of the businesses that start up don't succeed. And why don't they succeed? Because people haven't thought about how much money it's required to fund your business. You know, and in some cases, they haven't thought about, you know, the right kind of market. But in the most cases, it's they don't have the right funding and can't get the right funding. So you can always get venture capital from investors. Venture capital, though, remember, is offered in an ownership share and an active role. So somebody may come to you at some point and say, you know, I would like to invest in your business, but, you know, I'll give you that $5 million for 50% of the business. Now they become an owner, an equal owner to you. You can use crowdfunding. You can raise funds for a business from a large number of people called crowdfunders. Excuse me. They don't receive a share of ownership in the business, don't expect a financial return on their money, but they expect to give a gift. So in crowdfunding, you know, if you're starting off a glasses company making eyeglasses, yeah, you may want to figure that who's going to invest in the business is going to want to get a pair of glasses or something, a gift of some kind. And you can always get a small business loan. So how do I pick my business location? So your business location determines the taxes, zoning laws, and regulations your business will be subject to. You'll need to make a strategic decision about which state, city, and neighborhood you choose to start your business in. So you know you're going to be in say, let's pick Columbus. You know you're going to be in Gehenna. But what neighborhood are you going to locate your business in? Where's the best opportunity for you? So you might need to do some research on that. There's state and local government incentives. So often if you go down to, like, say you're taking a trip through Newcastle or Butler or some town like that, it's a lot of urban renewal going on, and you know, it's often related to job creation, but there's government incentives. You know, years ago, we invested in we're going to invest in the federal building in Youngstown. And there's probably 45% of that was tied to specific incentives to invest in that building. And so that's a great deal. So when you try to get a partner, what they're going to do is they're going to ask about federal tax credits, which can be sold. They're going to ask about state tax credits, which can be turned into cash. So you're going to get a whole bunch of opportunities to do something different with tax credits. And those are really state and local government incentives. You might have to apply for the credit, but in a lot of cases, when you get it, it's really well rewarded when you come down to it. There are federal government incentives. So the federal government offers benefits that do business with the government based in underutilized areas. One of the things to remember, because we've got a number of Westminster students on the call tonight, one of the things to remember is that this area here between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, the corridor along the state line, is actually officially rated as Appalachia. Now, some people may say, well, that's a bad thing. I would say, no, that's a good thing. because there are specific incentives to do economic development in this area that you go over to Akron, you don't have. You go over to Pittsburgh, you may not have it. And you do have it in this particular area. You also check into the hub zones, which are historically underutilized business zones. So your program to see if you qualify for preferential access to federal procurement opportunities. There are a lot of incentives out there, and I think you owe it to yourself to figure out where you can get help and make that part of your business plan. So you got to choose a structure. Business structure you choose influences everything from day-to-day operations to taxes to how much of your personal assets are at risk. You should choose a business structure that gives you the right balance of legal protection and benefits. And most people are going to start off with a limited liability company. So that's one or more people. The owners are not personally liable for the business. Taxes are self-employment tax you have to pay, and personal tax or corporate tax. Then you can gradually escalate where you're at. So one area, if you have an LLC, you can form an S corp for it. You can actually go to a C corp as well, but there's an incentive to have an S corp. So one or more people, but no more than 100, and all must be U.S. citizens. Liability, the owners are not personally liable for the business. And, from a tax standpoint, there's a personal tax. So if you have an S corp, there are some special requirements. I mean, I personally have one. Special incentives from a tax standpoint and reducing your tax liability to have that and do that. But there are also others. You can go to a C corp. You can create a nonprofit organization, corporation. So there's a lot of different areas that you can choose from. And it really depends on how much money you're investing and what your tax situation is estimated to be. You got to choose your business name. So the entity protects you at a state level. So you're going to file that with the state. Trademark is going to protect you at a federal level. So trademark is different than a patent. A patent is usually related to process. A trademark is a visual sign of your business. Doing business as, most of you have seen the DBA, that means doing business as. It doesn't give you legal protection, but might be legally required. So some of you may see that, I have Acme meat wholesalers, but it's Ron Emery doing business at Acme Meat Wholesalers. So that's fictitious name and things, but it tells you when you see DBA, you're doing business as something else other than Ron Emery. But it's you don't see that as much anymore, but they used to have that pretty frequently. Domain name protects your business website address. So it's good if you're going to plan to do a website with your business, get your domain name protected and go to GoDaddy or one of the sellers of domain names and make sure you keep that up to date. Register your business from a federal standpoint. You have to do this. So register your business to make it a distinct legal entity. How and where you need to register depends on your business structure and location, but it's going to give you a federal tax ID number. And that's the number you want to use as you file your taxes. So money that's paid gets allocated to the right place. If you're going to want to trademark your business, brand, or product name, you file that with the U.S. Patent Office and Trademark Office. There are attorneys, and they're not that outrageously priced, attorneys that will work with the Patent Office and Trademark Office. You can get a preliminary patent and then go through the process of getting your formal patent later. That will give you some protection as you get into business for yourself. If you want a tax exempt status for a nonprofit, register your business as a tax exempt entity with the IRS. And then to create an S Corp, you'll need to file Form 2553 with the IRS. Now, remember, when you do this, say, for example, you want to create the S Corp, there's a lot of requirements associated with that, like quarterly meetings, annual meetings. All of those things are great because you get to deduct the expenses for those. But you have to file the right forms, and it comes with a bunch of quarterly reporting. So in a lot of cases, you're going to want to make sure your business is successful enough that you can not only file with the IRS, but you can meet all the potential quarterly requirements that you have in order to keep the IRS off your back. So what do you need to do to register it with the state? If your business is an LLC, corporation, partnership, or nonprofit, you probably need to register with any state where you conduct business activities. So if you're in Ohio, you register with the state of Ohio and Columbus. Very easy to do. But by the same token, you can always go to your attorney and you can always go to your accountant to create the LLC as well. It's not that expensive to do. It's a lot less when you do it on your own, but I think if you go to your accountant or your attorney, you could probably have maybe $175 to $250 tied up in this, so it's not outrageous. Typically, you're considered to be conducting business activities in a state when your business has a physical presence in the state, when you often have in-person meetings with clients in the state. You have a significant portion of your company's revenue coming from that state, or any of your employees work in that state. Most state agencies, states require you to register with the Secretary of State's office, a business bureau, or a business agency. If your LLC, corporation, partnership, or nonprofit corporation conducts business activities in more than one state, you might need to form your business in one state and then file for foreign qualification in other states. I mean, I haven't really had the issue to do that, but I guess that's always hanging out there. I've heard of people who have gotten in trouble for not doing that. So just remember, know the requirements and make sure you comply. So when you register your business, you need an articles of organization to create the LLC. That describes the basis of your business and what you do, members' names, registered agent, which could be your attorney or accountant or yourself. But you're going to typically be asked for an operating agreement. So the state's not that concerned about having the details of how your business operates. That's part of your operating agreement. That's your information. So they just want to know that you have an articles of organization. And this is a handy guide for you guys to use and see just what you're going to need in an LLC, a limited partnership, corporation of any kind, and what's going to be required. So these are all public filings, at least the LLC is. You don't have to file your operating agreement. I don't know about some of the rest. You're going to have to talk to your accountant about it or your attorney, but operating agreement is kind of how you're going to operate going forward, who's going to be responsible for what. And in case the government has to come back to you, who's responsible, and that's usually the registered agent. So what you're going to do once you apply for these things, you're going to get an employee identification number. It works like a social security number. They let you pay your state and federal taxes. Your business needs a federal tax ID number if you have an employee. You operate as a corporation or partnership. So an LLC falls under this. You have to file a tax return for employment, exercise, or alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. If you're going to withhold any income, that you need to have the federal tax number. If you use a KEO plan, that's a tax deferred pension plan, very similar to a 401k. You work with certain types of organization. And remember, the state tax ID number rules vary by state. So you're going to have to check it out depending on whether you're in Ohio or you're in Pennsylvania or wherever you're at. So also, there are permits and licenses that are required. If you're going to open a bar, you have to have a license to serve alcohol. If you're going to, sell firearms or ammunitions or explosives, you're going to have a license to do that. So these are the varying licensing agencies that will help you get your correct license. Now, it has here radio and television broadcasting. I think about this because it's a lot of internet radio these days. In fact, we're working on selling those to a couple of school systems. They don't follow under the same type of ruling that radio and television broadcasting does. Some days it might, and other days it may not. So I think you have to just keep abreast of what's going on and who might be the best. Just ask the right questions from your accountant or your attorney. So these licenses prevent you or permits you need from the state, county, or city will depend on your business activities. So if you're going to have a marijuana dispensary, there's a state license for that. If you're going to sell alcohol, there's a state license for that. States tend to regulate a broader range of activities than the federal government does. So auctions, construction and dry cleaning, farming, plumbing, restaurants, retail, and vending machines. So some license require and permits expire after a certain set of time. You have to research your own state and uncover what you're doing. So we're coming to the home stretch here, but what are you going to need? You're going to need a bank account. So you can open up a business bank account once you've gotten your federal employee identification number, because the bank's going to want to know that, how they tie these together. And this is how they report the information to the federal government. So things to consider when you're opening up business checking or savings account. There are lots of introductory offers for the banks. So you can go to a number of them and find out. They'll offer you, if you open a checking or savings account, $250 bonus. They'll offer special interest rates for savings and checking, or offer interest rates, because some historically haven't. Special interest rates for lines of credit, transaction fees, what do you have to pay? Early termination fees, minimum account fees, because remember, you may have to keep a certain number of dollars in your account in order to obtain services from the bank that you're going to need for your business. So things to consider when you're opening up a merchant services account: discount rate, percentage charge for every transaction, transaction fees, you're going to want to keep track of those, address verification services, ACH batch fees, fees charged when you settle credit card transactions, and monthly minimum fees. So keep in mind that these fees can kill you. Don't really understand what you're paying. And so it's good to understand what your bank can offer you. Also keep in mind that as you grow your relationship with your bank, you'll find out that you'll be offered more and more services with the bank you're dealing with. So it does pay a lot of times to stick with the same bank that you get started with and not switch that often. So all the information here is from the SBA. Here's a business guide, 10 steps to start your business, that you can look up from the Small Business Administration. We've gone about 50 minutes here. And as you can tell, my voice is kind of disappearing here. But I do want to get back and answer any particular questions that you guys have. So I'll kind of open the forum up to see what you may need to know that we haven't shared today, or answer any particular questions you've got. So anybody? I know we've got a relatively sparse crowd here tonight, but we've done this thing with up to 70 people at certain locations, but or certain times. But anyway, any questions from anyone? No? Okay. Well, very good. I appreciate your patience tonight and listening to me while I had to clear my throat a few times, but to talk for 50, 55 minutes is a little difficult. But if I can ever answer any questions for you, I'd be glad to do that. Thank you for dialing in, and feel free anytime. You can reach me at Ron Emery, RONEMERY @gmail.com. All right. Have a good night, everybody. And thank you.
Georgianne, I don't know that they can ask questions because it's a webinar instead of.
Here we go. I just hit allow to talk on everyone, so you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So are there any questions?
What'd you
Just
do?
hit the, you have to click on attendees at the top on the list, and then over their name, it'll say it says ask to unmute right now, but it'll say allow to talk.
Oh,
So
cool.
everyone's muted right now. They just have to unmute themselves if they want to ask a question.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Was there anybody that had a question? Now that we uncovered that.
Don't believe.
That was kind of a pointless exercise.
Hey, we know for next time.
Yeah, that's right. So thanks everybody for attending. We look forward to seeing you in person. And wait, there's one question. Oh, that's Thomas. He said he don't have any questions, but thanks for the lesson. Thomas, you're welcome. All right, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Take care.
Bye now.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep, no problem.